Podcast ratings for Amy Robach and TJ Holmes see sharp decline in spite of shocking revelations. The podcast hosted by Amy Robach and TJ Holmes saw a decline in ratings 1 month after a strong beginning in December of last year, by Favor Adego, published at 12:19 p.m. on January 16, 2024. The podcast hosted by Amy Robach and TJ Holmes saw a decline in ratings 1 month after a strong beginning in December of last year. After the couple's episode exposing their drinking past, the podcast rose to 136th place in the U.S. charts, having previously peaked in the top 5. Why the numbers for the Amy Robach and TJ Holmes podcast aren't great. After making its debut on streaming platforms on December 5, 2023, Robach and Holmes' podcast isn't doing too well in the listener charts, according to recent reports. When the podcast was first released, about a year after they left their position as co-hosts of ABC's Good Morning America, the couple had high hopes for it to revitalize their flagging career. But according to podcast analytics company Chartable, the first episode of Robach and Holmes' podcast debuted well, placing in the top 5, but it swiftly dropped to the 234th position in the U.S. charts. According to The Sun, a podcasting specialist described the circumstances as follows: "I don't think anyone anticipated that interest to last much beyond that, but there was a ton of curiosity in what they were going to say about their affair and being removed from ABC in the aftermath." The 18 drinks a day binge by TJ Holmes grabbed attention from audience. Following the two's discussion of their drinking histories in the episode from January 11th, the podcast had some resurrection this month, climbing to the 136th position in the charts. A specific area of interest for listeners seems to be Holmes' admission that he could go through 18 drinks a day. In response to Robach's question about how he does it, Holmes said that he eats 4 of them by midday, 2 after their morning run and 2 more during lunch. He went on, "Now, if we're just inside for the day instead of out and about, running errands or doing something else, from 2 in the afternoon until 7, 8, 9, or 10 o'clock at night, I can easily be holding a drink in my hand. You could argue that after doing those numbers, you had an hourly drink for the next 8 hours. The former co-host of GM3 said, "I'll be holding a drink for 8 more hours on top of the 4 I've had so far this day." Once the couple planned to call it quits on their romance, Robach and Holmes have maintained their connection since it became public knowledge in December 2022, even though they are aware that the public's perception of them is largely negative. Though they may appear to be inseparable on the outside, the pair has experienced difficult personal times and once came dangerously close to calling it quits on their union. Robach and Holmes discussed the pivotal moment on a recent episode, stating that a particular argument based on fear and lack of communication was the one that almost resulted in a breakup. "A quarrel or fight that we had that was really based on fear and lack of communication, to the point that we felt, wow, was the closest our relationship came to ending." The 46-year-old Holmes said on the show, "We went through all of this, and maybe we're not compatible, according to people. Perhaps we overlooked something." TJ Holmes and Amy Robach intend to tie the knot. In terms of their future together, Robach and Holmes hope to tie the knot at some point. In a podcast broadcast, Holmes stated, "We didn't get into this relationship to have fun or to see what would happen. Our intention when we started this partnership was to live out our days together." They are not, however, in a rush to carry out that plan, since they have learned from their experiences that marriage is not something that should be decided upon hastily. "We're not racing to or rushing towards marriage. We've both been married twice already," Robach continued. "However, I can declare that I want to live out the rest of my days with you. It is situated on the table. It is situated on the table." TJ Holmes wed Marilee Fiebig, and Amy Robach was previously married to Andrew Shue. Holmes and Robach have both finished their divorce proceedings with their former partners.